Hey guys, it's Ben, the NLD Kid. Welcome back. Today we will be talking about social stress. Now, social stress is a hugely complicated and very hard topic for many NLD kids, especially because it has two main things. One, others misunderstanding us, and two, us misunderstanding others. So, I'm gonna address these two things in two separate parts. Part one is gonna be what I wish my peers could understand about me. And part two is going to be how you can better understand your peers through strategies to help you deal with social stress. The first and biggest thing I wish that my peers understood about me is that I am not able to read faces and not able to read tone. The not being able to read faces bit comes from us being face blind. And did you know that 85% of the communication that goes on between humans is nonverbal? And if we can't read faces or tone, that means that we are missing 85%, and we have to rely and try to figure everything out from that small 15. It would be like you have a cake, right? And there's a bunch of different slices, all with different flavors, and you have to figure out what the rest of the cake tastes like from a fifth of the cake, or less than a fifth of the cake. That would be really hard to do. Now, we can't read faces because we have collectively something called face blindness, which makes it hard to see faces and remember them. So we can't tell if someone's happy or sad, or not necessarily snot crying, in which case, we're not blind. But it can be difficult for us to tell that. Not only this, but with tone, often it just comes through like a text message. So I might say, yeah, or yeah, with an exclamation point, but in talking, we can't often hear the difference between mopey, disappointed, yeah, and a happy, excited, yeah. And this can make us often get offended or be hurt by things that the words are insulting but the tone is friendly, Or the words are insulting but the tone is teasy. And it's like these little things, and we often, can get insulted or, seem very sensitive. But if our friends understood that we can't hear the sarcasm, maybe they would use gentler words, try to clue us in to when someone's making a joke, or at the very least, not judge us for getting upset when we don't understand what they're saying. The second thing that I wish people understood about having NLD is that it is very hard for us to improvise, especially in fast-moving social situations. Now, this often comes up in a couple of different ways. One, often we will repeat jokes that our friends have made or that we've heard online or things like that we think are funny because, we want to get a laugh. It feels good to get a laugh out of people. And we often can't make up our own joke in time to tell it in a social situation. This also comes up in roasts or burns or whatever we call it these days. If someone roasts me, often, if I was neurotypical, I could often just come back with a roast right away, flame them right back. It would be like, oh, or whatever, But since I can't keep up, since I can't improvise that quickly, often I'll sit there, I'll hear the roast, I'll just sit there, and then 5 minutes later I'll have a great roast back, but the opportunity will have passed. Or it'll overwhelm me because I'll be like, oh, I want to say something back, I know I'm smart and witty, but I can't think of anything to say back right now. And it could be a little frustrating at times. And more to the part about the jokes, if a person in a group has a dominant way of speaking, or they seem to be in control and people seem to like them, we will often adapt that way of speaking, or we'll do that. And often it can be kind of obvious. It can be very dramatic, right? You don't want to do this. You want to be yourself. But if you do this and other people make fun of you, because they notice, oh, wait, Ben's now talking like, I don't know, Yoda, or whoever is popular in the group, but they notice it, and often they'll point it out and make fun of you for it. So just let your friends know that if you do that, you're not trying to, make fun of a person, you want to be successful or popular or funny or whatever they are, so you're going to try to steal their way of talking. Another thing I wish my friends knew about NLD is that we, as NLD kids, can often have a really hard time because sometimes we will stand too close or talk too loud. This is for a multitude of reasons. As I said before, we have a hard time reading faces, which means in a group scenario, we will often be moving around to try to get the best view of someone's face. This could mean that we kind of invade others' personal space a little, or walk up to them real close, or other things like this. And I wish my friends knew that I'm not trying to be creepy, I'm not trying to be weird, I'm not trying to make them uncomfortable, but I do it so I can understand what they're doing. Not only this, but also social distance, like the appropriate social distance, like the one arm or elbow or whatever it is, the rule that you're supposed to follow, can be annoying and hard to remember, especially, as I said, in those fast-moving situations. The final thing I would wish my friends knew about my NLD is that people will get to know me much faster and much better if I talked with them one-on-one. And this is a little bit less true for me now. I'm a little bit more fluent in groups of 2 or 3 than I was before. But when you're little, and this is especially important for parents and teachers of small children, so listen up. Little kids need to be paired one-on-one with other little kids who are like them. I said this in another video. They need to be verbal, imaginative, nice. I cannot stress enough. They need to be easy to read and just generally cheery and positive. If you can do this for an NLD kid, this NLD kid will have a friend at least for the year, if not for life. I have friends who I know from when I was very little because I got to know them a little in school, then I would invite them over for a play date, or my mom and their mom would be friends, and we would hang out, and I would get to know them one-on-one, and then in school, when it was in a group, I would know them better. I would feel a little bit more comfortable and a little bit more anchored in the group because I knew I had one good friend who I could look to if things went south. Now, the problem is often people can change when they're in a group. And this goes for us too, right? So your friends can change into someone who's a little bit more snarky, maybe a little bit more mean. Maybe it's not even mean, maybe it's just harder to read, or talking faster. Just these little things that can really throw an NLD kid off and really just rip out that anchor that we felt like we had in that group. Same thing as kids in a group who only know you in a group don't see the wonderful, smart, intelligent, verbal, awesome person that you are. They only see the awkwardness, the misunderstanding, the sensitivity that comes from fast-moving, snarky social situations. To the kids who only know me in groups and at school, if you got to know me one-on-one, you would get to know that I am not as awkward as I seem. I am not as tightly strung as I seem, and I am a lot more fluent than I can seem to be. And this goes for everyone. As soon as a kid gets to know an NLD kid, they see that we're great friends, okay? We're very kind, we're very smart, we're very empathetic. We have no problem caring for our friends or standing up for what we think is right. But we need to make sure that our friends know that we have NLD. Because this way, in social moments that are challenging for us, they will be more patient, they might be more gentle, and they will certainly be more forgiving of our differences. The second part of this video will be about what you, as the NLD kid, can do to help yourself in complicated and stressful social situations. Now, everything I'm about to tell you about is super advanced and hard, like AP, world, social dealing with stress level stuff. There's going to be a test at the end of the quarter, and you're super flipped out about studying for it. Anyway, I'm not that great at it. I'm definitely going to flunk that test. But I can tell you this, being isolated socially is a huge challenge for NLD kids. However, it is not a permanent situation. If you can learn to handle it better, some days will feel hard, but some days will feel great. Now, first warning, you can get very spun out and overwhelmed if a lot of socially stressful things happen in a very short period of time. So, for example, maybe you get teased, you react, you get excluded, or you feel excluded, then you feel isolated, then you get in trouble. All of these things are stressful, and they can all lead to some kind of stress response. This can be biting your nails, pulling on your hair, pulling out your hair, chewing your hair, drawing on yourself, eating. Whatever it is, be aware of what you do to try to calm down. I know and you know that you're just trying to control that anxiety that came from that social situation. But if you're doing anything physical, like drawing on yourself or cutting your clothing, or if you get any kind of soothing sensation from drawing on yourself, pulling your hair, chewing your hair, or, eating, get help. Just have someone look into it. Make sure that it's not going to become addictive or a more dangerous problem. Coming up are some general pro tips about how to manage social stress. Now, my first tip about how to manage social stress is that you need to assume the best when it comes to your friends making jokes. Don't assume people are making fun of you because they want to hurt you, or they want to make you feel bad, or they want to get a laugh from other people at your expense. Okay? They might be trying to get a rise out of others. They might be trying to laugh with you. They might be trying to help you out socially. Like my friends and I, we have inside jokes, right? And often, these can seem a little insulting, but we know that the others are doing it in good fun. And this goes a bit into the next bit, right? Which is that you need to learn to ask your friends what they mean by what they say. Now, all of this is really hard. I still have some trouble with this, but go back 2, 3, 4, even 1 year, this would have been extremely difficult for me to slow down enough to do. You need to trust your friends enough to assume that they are trying to, maybe not trying to help you, but not trying to make you feel bad. And remember, if you can ask them what they mean, it's going to only help you out. Okay, another pro tip is that you need to be able to feel comfortable enough that you can tell your friends that you have NLD. Now, you may think, oh, but if I tell them I have NLD, aren't I asking for special treatment and being a special snowflake? Would you call someone who, has paralysis and needs crutches to walk a special snowflake for asking to, not have their legs pushed out from under them? Would you make fun of them for running slowly? No, of course not. But because that's a very visible disability. But NLD, like other disabilities, is very invisible, meaning that people look at you and they don't see your disability as much as they might someone in a wheelchair, right? So if you can let your friends know what you have trouble with, they might, and if they're good friends, they'll accept you. They won't make fun of you for trying to be earnest, and they'll help you out. They'll clue you in. Maybe they'll be a little nicer. Remember, you're not asking for special treatment. You're asking for treatment that will make you feel comfortable and happy, which is a fair right. I think everyone should be able to be comfortable and happy. Don't you agree? A little bit of a segue here is that you need to be able to find adults or places in the school who you can go to if your friends are teasing you or making you feel unsafe or upset or very uncomfortable. That way you can go, not get too spun out. If you do get spun out, they can help unspin you. Like you would unspin yarn. I don't know. But it can be good because you can calm down in a safe, calm. Next tip. Make sure that if something happens and you can feel yourself getting upset, try and try and try. And this is really hard because it requires an incredible amount of emotional control. You need to be able to try to put a gap between what happened and your reaction, and your emotional reaction, even if it's just inside your head. That way you can do 2 things. 1, you can check your friend file. A friend file is like a little file cabinet. Like imagine you have a file cabinet in your head of all the different people you know, right? And say Bobby Joe teases you, right? You can pull out Bobby Joe's friend file and say, oh, look, but here's a card in his friend file that says Bobby Joe likes to tease. Well, here's another card that says you and Bobby Joe have been friends for 6 years. It's probably not very likely that someone you've been friends with for 6 years is going to try to make you feel horrible. That's not, unless that's the kind of friendship you have, in which case, try to deal with that. But, anyway, you check and make sure that, oh, this person is generally mean to me. I can assume that they are being mean in this instance. Or, oh, this person is generally nice to me. I can assume that they are being nice in this instance. Second thing is, you need to be able to be careful of catastrophic or black and white thinking, such as, everyone hates me, or I have no friends, or no one likes me. And then it starts to spiral from there, like a tornado, right? At the bottom, when it's still small, you can calm it down and it's not that dangerous. But once it gets big, it starts throwing things around, causing emotional havoc, and then you're cleaning up for the next 2 weeks. And it's just annoying and hard to deal with. Now, for a pro-emotional person, not me, a pro, like a, NASCAR racer who can go around that emotional track with no stops or rests or crashes at all. You can do this in that pause. Most of us, though, we're going to just have to pause, calm, and try to calm down. Okay? Just assume the best. And then when you get home, you can do the analysis. You can think, oh, Sister Susie really doesn't like me, and she has said mean things to me before, so yeah, she probably was actually making fun of me. Or, oh, Bobby Joe and I are really good friends, so yeah, he was probably teasing. It's fine. Maybe I should let him know I have NLD. See what I did there? They all relate to each other. And as soon as you can, make sure that you analyze, so you're not spinning out when you get home, so you're not tornadoing when you get home. Next tip is, drum roll please, scripts! Yay! They're back. I'm happy, you're happy, we're all happy. Cool. Moving on. A script for a social situation can include, did you mean to hurt my feelings when someone teases you? Other things like this. But as you get older, scripts are going to get a lot more case-by-case basis. What did you mean when you said X? What did you mean when you said Y? Why are you trying to isolate me? More specific case-by-case things as you get older. But when you're young, I needed a script for almost everything. I needed a script that reminded me to say hi to people if I passed them in the halls, when people came into the classroom, and I've talked about this one before, not just sitting there reading, saying hi. It's the little things, but they're very important to reduce social stress between you and for others, because if others can't read you, that's stressful for them, and then they act awkward, and then you act awkward, and it's just a big, awkward mess of awkwardness, which that's just kind of awkward to be in, and if you're upset or being catastrophic, then this is also kind of this is also kind of a script. You need to move away, calm down, rather than escalate. Because remember, that tornado doesn't just affect you. After a certain point, it starts to affect others. And then that can cause some damage to your relationships. I'm not saying it's permanent. I'm not saying you can't fix it. But it's always easier to not break bridges or even damage them. It's just easier to move the tornado away from your friends, calm down, come back, say, sorry guys, I was having a moment. Or they come up with a way that you can communicate to your friends that you were feeling a little spun out. Actually, I might do that one when I go to school, because I was smart. Yeah. If you're upset and feeling catastrophic, second thing you need to do is go and talk to a trusted teacher, a guidance counselor, a psychologist, a parent, even a friend, anyone who you can, because that is what is most important. You need to not feel embarrassed. This is who you are. You have your little issues. You're dealing with them. That's why you're watching my channel. But you're working through it. And your friends and your teachers and your parents and your guidance counselors and everyone needs to know that you're working through it. So if you slip up, you can't get that mad at yourself. You need to be able to go back to your group for the next day without bringing that baggage of shame with you. And you have no reason for shame. You've done nothing wrong. And as you get older and friends get to know you better, you're going to have less and less and less of these little slip-ups, and you will become a better self-advocate. It all gets better. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a wonderful day. If you liked the video, don't forget to leave a like. If you want to see more stuff like this, make sure to hit that red subscribe button and hit the notification bell right next to it to be notified every time I upload a video. If you have something interesting, nice, or kind to share, or have a request for a future video, make sure to comment down below. Awesome. Have a nice day.